Am I the a-hole for getting upset at my girlfriend for exposing my lie? If I eat something that I don't like, my nostrils flare. It's involuntary and I can't stop it from happening, but at the same time it's not super obvious if you're not looking for it. As a result, my parents know about it and my girlfriend knows. Anyway, earlier today I met my girlfriend's family for the first time, so I was pretty nervous and wanted to make a good impression. It turns out her mum had made a dish I detest. I'd never order it out of choice, and it has some ingredients I hate. But, given the fact I'm an adult, and wanting to come across well, I decide not to say anything, and just eat what was served. I take a spoon, and it was awful, but I carry on. When GF's mum asks me how I like it, I say it's very good. At this point, GF says haha he's so cute when he lies. Mum he hates it. Look at how his nose goes when he has a spoon. At this point I'd just had another spoon and her mum noticed, and it was very awkward from then on in. I tried to apologize, but she kept beating herself up on how silly she was to make something and not ask. Her dad told me I was being rude by making my dislike apparent, and that it was poor manners. After that the whole meal was a bit awkward, and after we left I was upset, and asked my GF why she couldn't have just backed me up a bit, or even not exposed my fib. Like, yeah I didn't want to eat it, but I'd have forced myself through, and then it would have been over. She said I was being dramatic, and that it was actually a quite funny, but I see it as sort of throwing fuel on what was already a pretty stressful event for me. You're not the a-hole, and your girlfriend is freaking tactless. Tactless? Sounds to me like she gets off on causing conflict. She knew damn well OP was nervous about this dinner. What significant other isn't when it comes to meeting family? I mean come on. She knew what foods he dislikes, but didn't say anything to the parents. Once he was stuck with dinner, she'd rather put him on the spot, brutally bash her mother's feelings and efforts, and essentially sicked her father on you knowing he'd stand up for his wife. You're not the a-hole OP. I have a hard time believing she didn't know exactly what she was doing. I would consider this a red flag. Anyone who is willing to sabotage dinner and then gaslight you about it isn't someone I would put my trust in. You tried to be polite, and she took ruthless joy in your discomfort and forcing you into an unwinnable situation. Yeah, I'm not usually a fan of lying for any reason. I think there's usually a kind way to tell even the harshest truths. But I'm also a very big fan of good manners. Rule 1 of etiquette: don't draw attention to anyone else's bad manners, most especially not in public. I can't say OP was rude. He was doing everything he could not to make his host feel bad. Mother had slightly bad manners in not checking food preferences when inviting someone new, or at least running the dish past her daughter to check it was suitable. Again, I think this was an oversight more than intentional bad manners. OP's girlfriend on the other hand, deliberately drew attention to both mother and boyfriend, embarrassing them unnecessarily. That is by far the biggest etiquette breach here, which makes OP and the mom you're not the a-hole, but girlfriend is definitely tar. I think the dad was the biggest tar here. He made a big deal out of it and called OP rude when OP was trying not to be. He could have said nothing and let it drop. You're not the a-hole. That was very rude of your girlfriend. In addition, if your girlfriend knew ahead of time that there are certain foods that you dislike, she should have let your parents know beforehand. It is interesting her dad called you rude when you did not say anything about disliking the food or that it was bad. Right. OP tried so hard to be respectful. Honestly, if my so did that, I would have called them out for being an ass when I was making an effort to enjoy the evening even with bad tasting food. Talk to your GFOP, because what she did left a worse taste than her mom's cooking, and she needs to understand why it hurt you. Edit: you're not the a-hole. You're not the a-hole. It is unfair of her dad to say you're being rude for making your dislike apparent, and that it was poor manners, when he wouldn't have a clue if his daughter hadn't said anything. You're not the a-hole. You told a white lie to spare your GF's mum's feelings. Just don't ever play poker with them. You're not the a-hole. I'd be mortified. Her dad told you you were rude the first time meeting them. That's basically the fail scenario of meeting parents. This feels like your GF just wants you to make a bad impression. Is she very adversarial with her parents or something? You're not the a-hole. Your girlfriend is an R. And her father, too. You're not the a-hole. Her father said it was rude. Your GF probably said that, since it's her parents and she's comfortable with them. First impressions are important, and she blew it. I would tried covering it up saying, oh, it's allergy season or something. You're not the a-hole. I got slammed in here once for saying little white lies don't matter. This to me is a little white lie that OP made to keep the peace and the GF totally ducked it up. So GF in this case I stay. You're not the a-hole. Your girlfriend is a pot stirrer. Unless she corrected her father and pointed out that you politely ate the food and she was the one who actually complained on your behalf, then she owes everyone an apology. You're not the a-hole. You were trying to be polite. Your GF's dad was rude. You weren't. I don't know why your girlfriend would say something like that and make things awkward. I'd be upset with her too. You're not the a-hole. You were trying to be polite and she just outs you for no reason other than to humiliate you. Not really sure what her goals were here. Normally people want their parents to like their so. But now her dad's first impression is that you are rude and ungrateful and her mom is embarrassed. I think your GF's dad was the real asshole. Mom not so much, but could have reacted differently. Suppose GF had supported your fib. Mom would have continued to think you liked the dish and may have made it again only for you to have to choke down again. Ideally, Mom would have asked GF about your preferences and chosen something you like, but that didn't happen. It sounds like GF didn't point it out maliciously, more of a teasing kind of way. I understand Mom feeling bad, but it could have all been smoothed over by ordering takeout or going out, since dinner was a bust. The dad saying you were rude was over the top when you were trying to hide your feelings and GF called you out. He is the real R. You're not the a-hole. It may have been funny to your girlfriend, but she embarrassed both you and her mother for her own amusement on the first day you were meeting her parents. Apparently this has also given her father a poor first impression of you. Even though you did nothing wrong and were willing to eat a meal you dislike just do, you didn't come off as rude. I also find it strange that your girlfriend didn't think to check what her mother was cooking so she could make sure it was something you liked, especially when it turned out to be a meal you hated. You're not the a-hole. Isn't she really not attractive when she is a total R? She deliberately made you uncomfortable. Her father disliked you and embarrassed her mother by opening her mouth once. Imagine what she does when she plots ahead. You're not the a-hole. It was so mean of your GF to do that to you. Just rude and always when you were just trying to being polite. My husband does this to me a lot. It is so annoying. I call him the drama starter. You're not the a-hole. The first time meeting my husband's parents, his mom made fish which I detest. I had been taught to eat what is put in front of you, so I was going to slog through it. My now husband says Ma, she hates fish. Do you have anything else? I was mortified, but his mom happily ran into the kitchen and eated me up a plate of leftover spaghetti. I will never forget my embarrassment, but I also appreciate my husband for getting me out of the situation. Even if done awkwardly, I think your GF was trying to help you, though somewhat awkwardly, but your husband actually at least helped you out. Even if he was super blunt about it, he told her directly you didn't like it and asked if there was something else you could eat. His GF didn't do that. She just pointed it out to make fun of him and publicly embarrass him, and never once asked if there was something he could eat more to his taste, and then acted like he was a jerk for being mortified. It was a real dick move on her part that involved no advocacy for OP, and I don't see anything remotely helpful about it. Please subscribe.